Thanks for tuning in to the third and final video in our hip wear testing series. So far, we've reviewed some of the important factors that can lead to variability in total hip replacement wear testing. In the first two videos, we reviewed considerations when choosing an appropriate test standard and review of the best practice when choosing a test fluid for your hip wear test project.
Today we're going to examine one last variable that can potentially affect your wear test results: soak controls. More specifically, how absorption rates can affect your reported wear rates.
That's right, and we're also going to touch on important considerations such as how temperature and loading conditions affect fluid uptake in polyethylene. We'll also review what the ASTM and ISO standards say, not only with regard to the number of soak controls to maintain, but also the types of controls the ASTM and ISO standards outline.
As you already know, UHMW is a polymeric material that absorbs fluid easily. That's why it's critical to maintain control samples throughout your testing process to correct for the fluid uptake that happens during wear testing.
That's right, Andrew. The purpose of these control stations is to normalize wear rates by taking into account fluid uptake and the resulting mass gain. By properly correcting for fluid uptake, a precise wear rate can be calculated.
When choosing the type and number of controls for your wear test, it's important to consider the potential effects of the polyethylene material. Polyethylene is extremely susceptible to loading in relation to the amount of fluid it absorbs. Several studies have shown that varying load magnitudes and waveforms affect the fluid uptake.
Dynamic loading can act to pump fluid into the polymer, causing changes in fluid uptake between dynamically, statically, and non-loaded controls. Differences in loading between control stations and test specimens can lead to misrepresentations of actual wear rates.
As far as test standards go, ASTM F1714 calls for 3 loaded or unloaded controls. On the other hand, both the ISO specs make no reference to the number of controls that should be maintained during testing.
With such variability between ASTM and ISO test standards, and because of the inconsistent levels of absorption of polyethylene, we always recommend careful consideration when determining the number of control samples to maintain during your test.
That's right, Jenna. At Accutech, we follow the specifications as best practices for every wear test job that we perform in order to reduce the overall variability in reported wear rates.
Thank you for following our hip wear testing series. As always, please feel free to contact us directly to discuss any upcoming projects. Also, do you have any burning questions related to testing? If so, we want to know about them. We just might feature your questions in a future video series, so stay tuned.